And Monday night doing a little bit of iRacing. There's going to be great stuff. Joining me in the studio, as always, the voice of West Bromwich Motorsport, Frankie Yennis. Frankie, good evening to you.
Gary, good evening and welcome to Brazelton, to Road Atlanta for the fourth round of the Renault Clio Cup Championship, brought to you by Second Gear Productions. Outside temperature 20, track temperature 35 degrees, clear skies, 12 km an hour winds, and we 291 meters above sea level for the Renault Clio Cup. Two 15-minute races tonight, or today I should say, as the qualifying session starts. Clearly there will be no regular pit stops, only pit stops if drivers do something wrong and they need to go in there for accident or for penalties or whatever the case may be. However, it is Yuri Swart Jr. that's out on the track first in the 39 car, the Bullion IT man that sits out there in on the track so far. Then we have got Jason Kutsia that's working his way around, the man there from Durant Motorsport. Chasey Herald is out in the 29 car from Chase Herald Racing. Then we've got Robbie Teings, the Bolt man, is out there in that motor car of his. And Gary, here comes the Rusty's car of Pantera Racing and Race Driver SA, Luke Lucchese.
Yep, looking forward to having him out there. It looks very much like the Momo colors, but if you see it from close up, you can see it's the Rust Ease sponsorship that he's got on there. Byron Mitchell. And Frankie, that is exactly the same colors as what he has on his race helmet as well.
Yeah, if you have a look at his Formula Libre Class S car, more or less the same. There's Olympus and JPS man from Sujin Properties, Troy Dolacek, busy working his way around. And there is Low Wrigley in the M&M car, a man that did very, very well last week, Gary, in the Porsche Cup.
I think he even surprised himself last week. He was very chuffed afterwards. Herman Lazarus in the cheapercars.co.za. Willem Botha out there as well, and that's in the Pepsi colors. Francois Joubert in his favorite colors, with the Jusenfeld sign writing on the side of that, always in yellow. The Pennzoil, the second of the Jouberts out there, that is Petit Joubert.
Yeah, in the 777 car. Then Durant Mobile Sport and Mobile One. That is Julian Familiaris, busy making his way around. And then the man in the number 10 car, one of our top Class A GTI Challenge drivers, Skalk Geldenes.
Yep, his father's an ex-GTI Challenge champion as well, Derner Sturman. And, well, his father was in school with me. We'll probably see him in the end of the month when we go for the VW run. Leighton Fourie, ex-Polar Cup champion, and yeah, I don't think he gives a whole heap of beans for what the car looks like, Frankie. Excuse the pun.
Yes, the baked bean man, as I like to call him out there. There is the Irn-Bru car, that is Raymond Duggan in the 71. But the times are beginning to come through, and Dolacek is the quickest man out there so far with a 134.745.
Yep, in there behind him is that man in the Mobile One. That's Julian from the RS. Then we've got Luke Lucchese as he works his way through with the Rust Easy car. Francois Joubert, I was just about to say onto the second of the good, but Leighton Fourie says, good evening, Mr. Joubert. I'll take that position.
Yeah, Leighton sitting so far with a 135.012. There is Willem Botha, Pepsi, and Toyota Gazoo Racing. So far they're in P6. Byron Mitchell of Durant Motorsport, 7/10 of a second of Dolacek, so far in that 7th position in car 21. And then Jason Kutsia, 8/10 of a second of Dolacek in that 8th position.
Skalk Geldenes, he's already got himself into the top 10 ahead of the highly acclaimed and super improved Raymond Duggan. And then we've got Robbie Teings just outside of the top 10 provisionally after his first flying lap. Low Wrigley in the M&M car. Sandra Bakari, they joined into the practice session just before we went to qualifying. Herman Lazarus has got a banker lap in there already, and we're still waiting for, oh yes, Jason Kutsia coming through for his second lap already, and Jason Kutsia is presently in the 8th position. Let's see how he rounds off his lap. Over the hill he goes, down into the dip, take the right-hander, pits on your left-hand side, pits on your right-hand side. Let's see what can Jason do.
Well, so far still in that 8th position, but he's
Wow, look
Still
at
working
that.
his way around. There's Dino Sturman in the best water technology number 5 car. Dino in P7, 6/10 of a second off Dollarcheck.
Oh,
He escapes to pit lane with
good evening.
5 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock left.
Good evening, gentlemen, says Umpi Swart, out from the front row of the grid. A 10th between Troy, Yuri, and Leighton. Brilliant stuff. And Julian from iRSA is already into the pit, so he's not going to be putting up another time. Can Luke Lucchesi bump him off the second row of the grid? Here comes Luke. No, Luke's also finished his second lap as well. We are 5 minutes 47 into the 8 minutes. So another new name out there, Nico Kellerman. Good evening, Nico, and welcome to you.
Yeah, that's a new name, Nico Kellerman. Welcome to the Madhouse, because that's exactly what this is all about.
It's what it's going to be.
In the Red Bull Racing color scheme. I see that Yuan Furi has not put up a time yet. He is out on track. He is Yuan in the 14 car, but he hasn't put a time up yet. As we watch, there he comes in the Monster Energy outfit, Renault Clio, Yuan Furi in car number 14. Surely he'll be somewhere in that top 10 when he eventually puts up a lap. That is Jason Kutsia. That's so far in P11. As a matter of fact, the first 11 cars so far are within a second of each other.
Yep, he doesn't get any faster. What does Raymond Duggan do? He can't go any quicker either. Robbie Teens comes across the line, and Robbie moves up just a little bit. Scal Geldenhuys immediately bumps him back down to that 13th. Interesting stuff. Byron Mitchell, the next man to come through. He's on the 5th row of the grid.
Got a minute left. Well, now we've got 50 seconds left before the end of the qualifying stint.
No, Byron doesn't move up either. Wow. Byron Mitchell, long way down in 9th position. Can you believe it? Willem Botha's still out there as he works his way around the circuit. He finds himself on the outside of row number 4. You see all the guys ahead of him are already in the pits. So he's got an opportunity to come a little bit higher up than that 4th position. Well, sorry, the 4th row of the grid, should I say, in 8th position. Just 6/10 between himself and the fastest time out there. A 134.7 dead by Umpi Swart. Oh, him and Troy, 44 thousandths of a second between the two of them on the front row of the grid. And then you got Leighton Ferry and Julian. And then there's only 2 thousandths of a second between Luke Lucchesi and Julian from the iRSA as well.
Qualifying is over.
That's all,
as
folks.
They will now grid. As a matter of fact, Yuan Furi did not make that top 19. I don't even think he put up a time. Let's have a look. See row 1, Yuri Swart and Troy Dollarcheck. Row 2, Leighton Furi and Julian from iRSA. Row 3, Luke Lucchesi, Francois Hubert. Row 4, Dino Sturman and Willem Botha.
Wow, that's a very quick 4 rows of the grid. Byron Mitchell from Petit, Jason Kutsia from Andrew Thomas. Scal Geldenhuys, a long way down for Skalky. I'm sure he's going to work his way up. And then Robbie Teens from Raymond Duggan and Low Wrigley.
Yeah, then we've got Sander Bakari and Herman Lazarus, Chase Herald, Yuan Furi and P20 from Sway Schubert and Nico Kellerman. Let's hope that all of them are going to be out there, all 22 of them. And then we will have some action. Yes, Yuan has gridded. He sits there in P20. Dino Sturman has not. Swace has. Nico Kellerman so far has not.
Oh, there he comes up as well. He's just popped up on the screen. That's just a little bit further back. Just look how far back this grid goes. All the way back to here. Well, the lights is on. Let's go to the front end of the pack. Here we go.
Lights are off. Here we go. 15 minutes or 20 laps, and away they go as the lights go green and off. And it's Umpi Swart that sits out there in P1. Right behind him is Troy Dollarcheck and Leighton Furi. Furi moves up into that second position. Dollarcheck fighting rather hard. Then we've got Luke Lucchesi that sits there in that 4th position. Right behind Lucchesi is Familiaris. That's the first 5, followed there by Francois Hubert as they work their way through the S's and towards turn 5.
Wow, what an opening sector. Look at that. Second and third, Leighton Fourie and Troy Dolenchik. Nothing much in it between the two of them, and riding right over the edge of the circuit was Troy Dolenchik, and that to get a bit of a run on Leighton Fourie. Leighton tries to close over the inside line. Dolenchik goes towards the inside. Dolenchik is just going to nibble away at him, and Dolenchik goes up to second.
Right, Dolenchik goes up into that second position. Have a look at all of them, right the way down to Duggan. They all in there within a second, or just under a second and a half. As you see this whole group of cars busy work its way around. There's Dino Sturman. He sits out there in that 13th position. Right behind him is Robbie Teams. Then it's a bit of a gap before I see Tracy Herald and Low Wrigley. He's in that fight as well, and only then do we see Johan Fourie. He's 1/100th of a second behind Wrigley is Fourie. As you have a look at this fight, it is a Peter Hubert, and diving through on his inside is Skull Caldenace, and right on his case coming through there.
Ooh,
he's Jason Coetzee, and right there in there is Andrew Thomas, the man of Racebook Media. And it is a heck of a fight. That group of cars that just came out of that left-hander.
Well, look at this one. Yuri Swart from Troy Dolenchik, Leighton Fourie. Look, Lucchese is going to be on the inside line there, but the next corner is going to be on the outside line. So he's going to have to close that one off. He's got Julian from the iRSA right in there behind him as well. Nothing much between them, but that other battle led out by Jason Coetzee. That was brilliant stuff. Here they come down the hill.
Yeah, that is Jason Coetzee. Just ahead of him is Skull Caldenace. Behind them is Peter Hubert. Right behind him is Andrew Thomas. And right on his case is Robbie Teens, and Dino Sturman is in there. Right on the case of Sturman, I just saw the monster car of Johan Fourie. But they're making their way through that right-hand. And that's the leading group of cars, being led there by Swart. Behind him is Sturman. Behind him is Leighton Fourie. Behind him is Luke Lucchese. Behind Lucchese is Familiaris. If we go back to the second group, that's been led there by Skull Caldenace.
I tell you what, that's two lovely dices. But Julian from the RS really putting a lot of pressure onto Luke Lucchese all over the back. In fact, Luke, I think he's starting to run lines to cover that position as opposed to trying to have a look at Leighton Fourie. But Luke Roos right in there behind them. It's Byron Mitchell and the old hand Francois Hubert. He's there to play as well.
Francois on the the 304 car is right in there just behind that 21 as they work their way now into turn number 7. Out of turn 7 they'll become, no, they're not working out of turn 7, I do apologize. They're coming out of turn number 12 and going down the main straight and heading into turn 1 and now through the S's. That's that first group, and here's the second group coming out of turn 1, and that group has been led there by Skull Caldenace, and right on his case is Jason Coetzee, followed by Andrew Thomas.
Julian from Melrose and Luke Lucchese going side by side. Luke Lucchese doesn't back out. Julian was actually very decent with that one and didn't just take his tail end away. But the problem is they've slowed one another up. Byron Mitchell says hello, how's it, good morning. Dumoulin and Francois Hubert comes into play as well. Luke Lucchese definitely closing the line. He's under pressure from Familiaris.
Yeah, he is. As a matter of fact, there's 1.7 seconds between himself and Leighton Fourie. That first group of first, second and third cars have broken away here from Lucchese. That is Swart, Dolenchik and Leighton Fourie as they go down that long back straight turn 8 and 9 towards turn 10A and turn 10B. There is Lucchese. Right on Lucchese's case, we have got the Mobile 1 car of Familiaris. And right on his case is Byron Mitchell. And right there with them is Francois Hubert. And right behind him is the Pepsi man, that is Willem Botha.
Well, that's Caldenace that just made up a position with that little session that we had there. And let's go back a little bit further. Here comes the next pack down the hill. Skull Caldenace that has got himself ahead of a Jason Coetzee, who was leading that pack out. Then Andrew Thomas, Petit Hubert, Robbie Teings, Johan Fourie, they're all in there, one behind the other. Dino Sturming's got into the pit. Something must have gone wrong.
Yeah, must have had a problem out there for the best water technology car, but this is the leading trio that is now making their way through the S's. Through the S's they go towards turn number 5. That's what it looks like when Dolenchik shoves his nose under the Renault Clio of Yuri Swart. that sits there in P1. Then it's Mr. Baked Bean that sits there in that third position. That's Leighton Fourie, and all different lines. You can see Dollarcheck moving all over the place to try and hide himself from the rearview mirror of race leader Yuri Swart.
Well, Spice Maker just makes you think about how spicy this one is. And going just a little bit wide there was Troy Dollarcheck. That'll probably bring Leighton Fourie right onto his back bumper. Yep, the Baked Bean man is in there. It's Leighton Fourie. He's got a gap back to Luke Lucchesi. But remember, Luke Lucchesi was starting to ride the recovery lines to stay ahead of Julian Familiaris, which he has done, but it's taken him out of that battle for the front three.
Yeah, there is the Rusty's man of Race Drive SA Pantera Racing, Luke Lucchesi. Right behind him, Durant Motorsport. He's Familiaris. Then for Just Race, we have got Francois Hubert. Then the Pepsi man of Gazoo Racing is Willem Botha, and right on his case for Durant Motorsport, the 21 car of Byron Mitchell, as that group as he works his way around. Then Skull Keldernace in that 9th position leads that second group. Just behind Skull Keldernace is Jason Coetzee. Andrew Thomas, Peter Hubert is in there, followed by Johan Fourie. And right on Fourie's case there, I'll let you know who's in there behind him. But never mind that. Back to that front and having a look up for second position and having a go is Leighton Fourie. And we've got a new leader. Dollarcheck is the man that sits out there in P1, and Umpi Swart has dropped down into that third position behind Leighton Fourie.
Well, let's see how that happened. It was Umpi that went wide, and Troy went up on the inside, and he brought Leighton through with him as well. That's how that turn up for the books came. So we lap 5 of 20, or 15 minutes, whichever comes first. 5 laps, 7 minutes, 15 in total. Probably only another 5 laps to go. Time is ticking away.
And all of a sudden, those first group of cars, this breakaway group, is no longer breakaway group because Lucchesi is right on the case there of Umpi Swart. Here comes this second group, and there's a new leader in that group as well, and it's Jason Coetzee. He's got his nose ahead there of Skull Keldernace, and it's going to turn into chaos here because there's Thomas right up through on the outside of Thomas. He's Peter Hubert, and having a look there as well is Johan Fourie. And man, right behind Johan Fourie there is Robbie Teens. He's also involved in that fight.
What a battle. 3 abreast at one stage of the fight. They could never have made it through there. Well, that just shows you how the guys have improved recently. Julian Familiaris putting the pressure once again on Luke Lucchesi.
Well, Lucchesi is having the race of his life here because he's been pressurized by Familiaris, and right on his case is Francois Hubert. The man up front, though, is still Dollarcheck. There's Keldernace sitting there just behind Jason Coetzee, followed there by Peter Hubert. Then Robbie Teens and Johan Fourie's lost a bit of ground. As a matter of fact, so was Andrew Thomas as well. Remember that Thomas and Peter Hubert, the 2 yellow cars, were side by side once upon a time. And they were side by side, and that's what's cost the man of Racebook Media, Andrew Thomas, going a little bit farming there and rejoining the circuit once again.
Yeah, he actually entered just a little bit too wide. So Troy Dollarcheck, having made use of the one mistake in the 13 seasons of peace, and Leighton comes in, gives him a nudge from behind, said, go, 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 don't back out of it. Troy Dollarcheck's got the inside. Now Umpi will have the inside. Troy Dollarcheck leaves enough space. Leighton! You can't go 3 over a blind rise. Somehow they make it through. And here comes Luke Lucchesi. Luke's got a bit of space between himself and Julian Familiaris, and he rubs the back bumper of Swart. Leighton sees Swart coming, closes off the inside line. Dollarcheck's got the hammer down. Luke is coming from behind. Julian Familiaris.
This is going to turn ugly. This is going to turn ugly. Familiaris dives up there on the inside of Lucchesi. Lucchesi could even lose out to Francois Hubert, and I think he has. Has he lost out to... No, he hasn't. He's still just ahead of him there. Man, this is chaotic stuff. And then Byron Mitchell is coming to play as well. And so is Willem Botha, for that matter. Man, this is going to be a hectic one. We've done 10 minutes already. My word, our time is flying when you're having fun. Welcome to the Lunatic Asylum. This is exactly what it is as they work
with the guys. And, well, look, Lucchesi's got himself up behind the Mobile 1 car, And so far, so good. That's about as far as he's going to go forward right now. I don't think Julian from the RS is going to want to be outside of the top 3. Remember, top 10 invert. So right now, if they stay the way they are, Skulk, well, it will now be Petit in the 777, the Pennzoil car. He will actually be on pole position if they had to stay where they are right now. Look, Lucchese all over the back of Julian from the RS.
There is Leighton Fourie. He's just ahead there of Francois Hubert, and then Byron Mitchell is in there. He's ahead of Willem Botha that sits there in that 8th position. Botha, oh, and somebody's gone. That is Teens. I think that
Robbie
is
Teens,
Teens.
yeah.
Robbie Teens dropping down the leaderboard.
Well, Jan Ferrie's the next one that's coming through behind that, but we've got to go back to that one with Luc Lucchese.
Luc Lucchese sitting there in that fight with Francois Hubert and with Mitchell. Mitchell goes up on his right-hand side. Is he going to take that place away from him? You bet your bottom dollar he does. No, they're still side by side. He's going to try and work his way through. Is he going to get past 2 of them? He's going to get past 2 of them into that right-left chicane. And that is going to turn 10A and 10B. And what a move there by Byron Mitchell.
And Willem Botha sticks his nose in there as well with just 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Luc Lucchese going backwards kind of fast. Who's at the front end of the pack? It's still Troy Dolanchik. He takes all the track that he's got and more. Remember, they started on the front rather good. Troy Dolanchik and Umpi Swart, Julian from the RS. Leighton Ferrie's right in there as well. Byron Mitchell's not out of this one yet. Byron Mitchell is in, but I think the gap is that 0.7 is just a little bit too much. Can Leighton make up a position? Yes, I think so.
I just saw overtaking maneuver there. Johan Fourie went up to P9. Jason Coetzee dropped down to P10. So Fourie sits in P9, 9 seconds behind Luc Lucchese.
Well, there's only 1.5 minutes left to go at this stage of the fight. Petit Hubert has gone into the pits, and that's going to take him completely out of the pecking order. I see Robbie Teens is into the pits as well. So Troy Dolanchik, Umpi Swart, Julian from the RS, Leighton Fourie, Byron Mitchell, the next man through there, Francois Hubert. Look at the battle behind that. Luc Lucchese having been passed by Willem Botha, and then a long way further back. I say long way, it's 9 seconds, it's a big gap, and the only chance that is stood at this stage of the fight for Jason Coetzee is maybe to pass on Johan Fourie, but that's basically it. Luc Lucchese actually just got past Willem Botha now, but Willem Botha is not out of it yet. 45
seconds left before we see the checkered flag. They're going to have to circulate one more time as the leaders work their way out of turn 12. Through turn 12 they go. Yup, there is 14.5 minutes left on the
There's
clock.
The white flag.
So done, I should say. So it is definitely the white flag. There's 25 seconds left. So this will be the final lap. This will be the final lap. And Umpi Swart knows it. Umpi Swart knows it. Dolanchik knows it. Familiaris knows it. And so does Leighton Fourie. And the 4 of them are trying to break away from Mitchell that sits there in that 5th position, followed by Francois Hubert and Willem Botha.
Umpi Swart rubbing the back end of Troy Dolanchik has slowed them down, and that has brought Julian from the RS and Leighton Fourie into play. Leighton finds himself in 4th position, and well, they're just about the halfway through the last lap, and it'll be a big disappointment for Leighton because he was doing a whole lot better earlier and running a little bit earlier on, running it a little bit wide. There was Julian from the RS. That brings Byron Mitchell in 5th place into play. I think as you see them now, that top 5 will end your top 5 because there's not much more of this lap to go.
Yeah, working their way through turns 8. Excuse me, turns 8 and 9 towards turns 10A and
Byron.
10B. Mitchell wants to have a say as well. Look at Leighton Fourie. He's flashing lights there at Judy Swart. And Familiaris gets attacked there by Mitchell.
Oh, no!
There's contact. There's contact between Byron Mitchell and Julian Familiaris.
Oh, he's going to have to come back at quite a tangent to get back onto the circuit like that. Let's go to Troy Dolanchik as he goes across the line.
Checkered flag is out. Troy comes home in P1, followed by Yuri Swart, Leighton Fourie, finishing in that 3rd position. Then it is Byron Mitchell, Willem Botha, and Julian Familiaris crossing the line just ahead there of Luc Lucchese, and behind him 4 seconds is Johan Fourie.
Yep, and then it's Thomas is the next one that comes through behind that. Andrew Thomas. There is Skulk just ahead of Raymond Duggan. We didn't see much of him in the latter part. Chase Herald on the last pass, Sandro Bakari, and the two of them have a little bit of a rubber dub there. And then just a little bit further back, there's Herman Lazarus that comes through just ahead of Nico Kellerman, our new man. Low rig there. It didn't go well for him in this specific one, as opposed to the brilliant showing that he had at the previous race that we saw him in. Petit in the Pennzoil car. He finds himself 22 seconds further back. But remember, he was in the pits a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well there for Peter. He was right in the fight early on with Andrew Thomas. Those two yellow cars were side by side. He will finish, but he will finish in that 19th position, just ahead there of Dino Sturman, who also in the opening stages of this one did very, very well, but also had issues and found himself in the pits. Then the Oreo car of Sway Schubert finishing in 21st position, 14 seconds behind Dino Sturman, and putting up a PB there of a 1 minute 39 seconds.
How was that? Well, now there's a little warm-up session that's going to be going down. And let's see if the computer will maybe give us those results from heat number 1. Nope, it doesn't want to do it for us. It's going to give us the two of them together. So we're just going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back to you with race number 2. Top 10 is going to be inverted. Well, for the folks that have just joined us recently now, this is the 5-minute warm-up session between race number 1 and race number 2. We just completed with race number 1. We are just 35 seconds away of starting in race number 2. Top 10, Frankie, is inverted for race number 2.
Yeah, this is going to be some good stuff. So Brazelton is in the state of Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, from Brazelton. This is where this Road Atlanta racetrack is. There's approaching 10 seconds left in the warm-up session. There's Luke Lucchesi of Race Driver SA and Pantera Racing. And the guy just doesn't want to do a bit of a warm-up and test they can. Herman Lazarus, cheapercars.co.za. And on the bonnet of that car, he's got the GTI Challenge Kalani series that is on that motor car. There's Petit, and it was Skull Caldernace that just took a shortcut there in that warm-up session. However, that's done and dusted. Here we go. Top 10 inverted. Jason Coetzee, Johan Fourie on the front row of the grid. Luke Lucchesi, Julian Familiaris, followed there by Boeta, Mitchells, Francois Hubert, and Leighton Fourie.
Umpi Swart, Troy Dolenchik, Andrew Thomas, Skull Keldenace, Raymond Duggan, Chase Herald, Sandra Bakori, Herman Lazarus, they're all in there. This is going to be brilliant stuff. I don't think you're going to miss a second of this if you want to see all the action.
Still waiting for Umpi Swart and Nico Kellerman to grid. Furthermore, everybody else has at this point. Umpi is in, Nico Kellerman is in. So the first 22 cars are in. We wait for the light sequence. 5 green lights, slight pause, lights will go off, and it's showtime. 15 minutes of absolute madness as the lights go off. The green flag was waving there as well, and away we go. As Jason Coetzee leads him into turn number 1. Look at Lucchesi. He wants up on the inside there of Johan Fourie. Fourie still holds at this point in time. Lucchesi sits there on his outside. Willem Boeta's right in the fight as well. And so was Byron Mitchell and Leighton Fourie.
Well, that was a hard knock. Byron Mitchell and Leighton Fourie off onto the infield. There comes Troy Dolenchik, is working his way through there as well. Willem Boeta just ahead of that. So it's all about Jason Coetzee from Johan Fourie, from Luke Lucchesi and Julian Familiaris.
And somebody gets sent back in there. That is Skull Caldernace. We'll put up the track map for you there. You see that Swayze Hubert is all the way at the back of the field in 22nd position. He's making his way through the S's now as the leaders are making their way through turn 7. Out of turn 7 they go, down that long back straight towards turn 10A and 10B. And it is Coetzee that sits out, then P1 from Fourie second, Lucchesi in third. Then the interval, we'll put the intervals up for you now. I will tell you exactly how far Familiaris is behind Lucchesi. He does sit in that 4th position, 1.3 seconds, but the fight is on. The 2 old guns are sitting there in 2nd and 3rd, and they're challenging the leader, Jason Coetzee.
Yep, down into turn that wall. Oh, look at that. And he runs just a little bit wide, does Johan Fourie, and that's Luke Lucchesi that's up on the inside. They're all behind Jason Coetzee. A long way further back is that second battle. There's Julian Familiaris, then behind Julian Familiaris, that's Willem Boeta. Behind Willem Boeta, that looks like Byron Mitchell. Remember, he had that coming together. Andrew Thomas, here comes Umpi Swart and Troy Dolenchik and Leighton Fourie in the same shot.
I remember Leighton went on the grass early on when they had that little get-together. Right behind him is Chase Herald, but we go back to this fight for that lead, and Familiaris has come to play. Familiaris has come to play. As a matter of fact, so has Willem Boeta, who's been overtaken there by Byron Mitchell. They side by side, as a matter of fact, and it is eventually Mitchell that stays ahead there of Boeta.
Wow, what an amazing trend of events that's led us to where we are here now. Troy Dolenchik in there behind Umpi Swart, and the two of them are trying to... Oh, there's chaos at the back.
Yeah, somebody got sent back in. I wonder if that's not... Duggan is busy dropping down Raymond the leaderboard, so that could be the 71 car of Raymond Duggan.
Let's just see what happened there. That was Chase Herald, Raymond Duggan on the outside. Oh, yeah, that was unfortunate bit of contact, that one. And, yeah, that takes him a long, long way back.
I also saw Low Wrigley in a spot of bother, and he finds himself now in that 19th position. So low in the M&M car also had problems out there.
Oh, it was the Best Water Technologies car that gave him a bit of a hammering and moved him there towards the outside. So a little bit of contact that's happened out there so far. That's those two are obviously going to try and work their way through the pack as quickly as possible. Jason Kutsia was on the front row of the grid with the top 10 invert, but he's got a three-way problem, and they are side by side.
Working their way through turn number 12. That's that final
look too much.
Lucchese in a lot of trouble out there. Fourie sits in second. Where's Lucchese? He's in P6 at this point in time, and right on his case is Andrew Thomas, as a matter of fact. But we go back to that front runners. It is Jason Kutsia from Johan Fourie, from Byron Mitchell, from Julian Familiaris and Willem Botha. That is your top five. 1.1 behind Botha is Luke Lucchese, and he's been hassled there 0.5 of a second between himself and Andrew Thomas. And right on their case is Umpi Swart. There you see them, and Troy Dolacek.
Wow, amazing stuff. So we're right on board with the mobile V8 one-man. Shooting from the RS, that's 0.3 of a second. Byron Mitchell just 0.2 off the back end of Johan Fourie. Jason Kutsia, that was 10th in race number 1, finds himself in the front row of the grid, and he's holding sway very, very well.
If you have a look in that side mirror of Familiaris, you can see Willem Botha wagging himself around there, saying, now you see me, now you don't. Here I am, peekaboo, I see you. I don't want you to see me though, but trust me, Julian sees him, that's for sure.
Look in the middle mirror on the right hand side, there you can see the Pepsi car. So riding on board with Julian from the RS, in there behind Byron Mitchell, going wide, Johan Fourie. Surely he's going to be slower going down to turn number. Oh, he closes the line off, and well, now it's going to be side by side, and Byron Mitchell's on the inside line. But I must say, Johan Fourie covered himself there very, very well at that time to try and make sure that it was safe. Now through the left-hander and through the right-hander, they drop down the hill.
Yeah, that's what it looks like when you've got that Pepsi car behind you. That was Familiaris. And we go back to our trackside cameras again. Mitchell is sitting right on the case of Fourie. Right on the case of Mitchell is Familiaris. And right on his case is Botha. Right on Botha's case is Lucchese. And right on his case is Swart. As this group works its way around. We've lost the track map there. Then I can tell you exactly where they are working their way around this leading pack. But it does look as if Kutsia wants to break away from Fourie. He's 1.1. They've just worked their way out of turn 7, and they're going through turn 8 right now.
Well, the way that it worked out, that Johan Fourie had that bit of an error. He closed the line off on the last turn, going out into the start-finish straights, closed the line off, and that's what then backed them up. There you can see Johan Fourie, Julian, Byron, Willem, Luke, and Umpi is almost just about there, as well as Umpi has a look up on the inside. A bit of contact between Luke Lucchese and the Pepsi car in front of him. And that's what made it possible for Umpi Swart to close up. And Umpi Swart has made it past Luke Lucchese.
But watch out for Dolacek. He sits there in P8. Here he comes. And look at Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas says, I want a bit of this as well. He had a look up on the inside there of Lucchese. He did not make the move stick. But he did a personal best of Thomas of a 135.898 as Mitchell does a bit of agricultural work there at the Road Atlanta circuit, as well as Andrew Thomas.
A quick move there by Leighton Fourie to make sure that he doesn't get taken out with that one.
So yeah, Thomas also doing a bit of farming there, and you all look at this by Swart just diving through there on Mitchell. But remember, he did a bit of farming, did Mitchell, and you lose a lot of positions there. He loses out a couple. He loses to Swart, to Dolacek, and to Lucchese.
I think Byron Mitchell's got a car that's not handling that well anymore. I think he's got problems.
Yeah, because right behind him is Leighton Fourie, so he could lose out there to Leighton Fourie as well. We'll have a look and see. Leighton's 87/10 of a second behind Mitchell at this point in time, P8 and 9. So let's have a look and see if Byron can get it all together again. He might just be a little bit rattled at this point in time, and he'll get his focus back again. But the fight is up front. The fight is up front. Johan Fourie had a serious look there at Kutsia, and here comes Familiaris. He wants to get past both of them. He's got the inside line. Will it work for Julian Familiaris? No, it won't, as they work their way through turn 12.
Oh my hat, look at that. Johan Fourie closes the line off on Julian Familiaris. Willem Botha's right in there. Only now does Umpi Swart get up into that fifth position right away, up on the inside of Willem Botha. But Willem Botha's going to have the inside line going through the next corner. And Johan Fourie battling to stay where he is. Familiaris up to second.
Yeah, well, he was rubbed there by Umpi Swart, was Fourie, and had to really fight to hold on to that third position. Now it looks like Botha gets rubbed there by Umpi Swart. Umpi diving across the grass. He must be careful he doesn't wipe everybody out, and his enthusiasm to get to the sharp end of the field and just keep it together. He don't want to be beaten. He doesn't like to be beaten, does Umpi Swart. And right now he's getting a little bit of a whipping out there, and he don't like that.
Look, Lucchesi up on the inside of Byron Mitchell takes a nice tight line. Umpi knows they're going to slow one another down. Willem Botha wants to play. Willem Botha almost took him out, but that brought the baked bean man into play as well. And now Willem Botha's going to go and look for that inside line. He moves across. Oh, Johan Fourie off on the outside. And that's going to take him a long, long way down. So who's going to be on the inside line going down into the next left-hander? Will it be Byron? No. Willem's onto the grass. Look at the baked bean man. He's right in there as well. Who's the latest on the brakes? They're all very similar. Byron Mitchell's not backing out whatsoever. He's got Willem Botha behind him. Leighton Fourie ducks up for the inside. Over the blind rise they go. And I think Leighton will make up one on Botha.
Right, he does make up one, and Willem Botha working their way out of the final corner, out of turn number 12. The two leaders have cleared away from this back as we see them come through. It is Swart, it is Lucchesi, it's Mitchell. Right behind him is Leighton Fourie, followed there by Willem Botha and Andrew Thomas as well, the man of Racebook Media, ex-Carbs and Coffee, sitting right there in the fight as well. And Leighton Fourie just muscles his way through there on Byron Mitchell. Now Mitchell's going to be hassled here by Botha and by Thomas as they work their way through the S's and into turn number 5 and then turn 6, a bit of a straight, and then into turn 7.
Using the whole track a little bit more, and another 2 inches on the outside of that. Look in the mirror, no problem whatsoever. Back to Peter Joubert. Look in front of you. That is action personified. The first man, the Pepsi car, is Willem Botha. Byron Mitchell locks up the right-hand back. He's in behind the baked beans guy. That is Leighton Fourie. A little bit further forward is the Lucchesi in that 4th position. He's a bit unsighted now. He can't see that far forward, but he knows that when they go through the next corner, he'll be able to see who's made up and who's lost any places, because the next one, as they come over the blind rise, is going to be that sharp left and right over the blind rise and down towards the start-finish line. 11 minutes of 15, that's done. Let's go for a dive.
That's turn 10A and turn 10B. They're working their way through the second last corner. That's turn 11. And then into turn 12 as you ride aboard here with Thomas in that 8th position in the 25 car. And he is right on the case there of Willem Botha. As a matter of fact, side by side, Familiaris and Umpi Swart. The two of them are still next to each other. They are still next to each other. Umpi's nose is slightly ahead. Out of turn number 12 they go. And right behind them is Lucchesi and Leighton Fourie. And Umpi holds that position just ahead there of Leighton. Well, he was challenged. As a matter of fact, he's now lost a heck of a lot of ground there to Kutsia and to Swart.
Fourie from Mitchell, and there's nothing much between the two of them. Botha is having one of his best races for a long time.
Yes, actually Yuri is in that 2nd position. I stand rectified there. He's 2.3 behind Kutsia, so Kutsia is busy disappearing down the road. As a matter of fact, that's a fight for 3rd. You see there just behind Umpi Swart.
Sure.
And there you see Dollarcheck out on track, but believe it when I tell you, he's a back marker. He was in the pits. He's in P20. He's a Troy Dollarcheck. So yeah, he's having a horror show. He's a Troy out there, and he is now just behind the leader, but he's going to go. He's already a lap down as this group from P2 all the way to P7 make it P8 is right there with him.
Later for he rubbed the back bumper there of Luke Lucchesi. Luke Lucchesi having a look around on the outside of the Mobile One man, and they're going to go three abreast once again. This cannot last, even if there's only 2 minutes to go.
Through turn 12 they go as, and they are side by side, and Andrew Thomas had that thing's tail wagging. Lucas coming there behind them. That's a Pennzoil car of Petit, as we keep an eye on this group of cars working their way through the S's. Out of turn 1, through the S's they go. Leighton Fourie, right behind him Luke Lucchesi. Right behind Lucchesi is Familiaris. Right on his case is Mitchell, and right behind Mitchell is Botha and Thomas.
You couldn't ask for better. Jason Coetzee starting for pole position on the invert grid, and he's just, remember that guy, Jason Coetzee? Well, he's got a problem. Jason Coetzee, he's got no hassles whatsoever, because the car that's behind him is in fact Troy Dolenchik, that is a lap down because of previous incident. So that's just for giggles. That's up there. It's Umpi Swart is the next man that is actually in play. I just hope that Troy Dolenchik doesn't cause a problem for Jason Coetzee. It looks like he's trying to push Jason Coetzee and just trying maybe helping Jason to get him a little bit away from Umpi. But I'm pretty sure that he'll now, as you see, move out of the way and let Umpi come through. He doesn't want to get involved in that one whatsoever. Byron Mitchell's on the line. No, Byron Mitchell's on the outside. Luke Lucchesi on the inside. Both of them behind Julian from the RS.
Well, I tell you, who's making a serious comeback here is Umpi. He was being pushed around a bit, and he pushed guys around a bit as well, and he's busy securing that second place. And now we'll have a go with Jason Coetzee as we see this group coming out of turn 12. The white flag is out. This is the final lap. One more lap to go. There's 15 seconds left on the clock. So this is their flag lap.
Byron Mitchell up on the inside of Luke Lucchesi. Willem Botha coming through there. Oh, let's hope that both of them can carry on. Let's hope that both of them can carry on. They can help one another. Luke Lucchesi goes to the complete left-hand side, gets completely out of the way. That will drop him down just ahead of Botha, and that ahead of a very quick Andrew Thomas. Jason Coetzee has got a problem because Jason Coetzee has been closed down by Umpi Swart, and they've still got about 2/3 of a lap to go.
Yeah, they've got two back markers ahead of them, but they shouldn't catch those back markers. That's Sway Schubert and Sandro Bakari. Out of turn 7 they come now, heading towards turn 8. And trust me when I tell you that Swart does not want to come second. He does not want to lose. This man only believes in winning, and he's going to take the lead. Surely he's going to take the lead from Jason Coetzee heading into turn 10A and 10B. They are still side by side. He's in the lead for now. Coetzee doesn't give up. Coetzee does not give up, but Swart will have the line for turn 10A, and now Coetzee will have the line for turn 10B.
That's the move that will give Jason Coetzee the win if he can stay ahead of Umpi Swart. That second sector of that bend, that's where the difference came in.
Final corner towards the line they go, and victory will go to Jason Coetzee from Yuri Swart, from Leighton Fourie, from Julian Familiaris.
Wow, Julian and the boys throwing the cars around. Look at that. And as they work their way through, quicker than what you can go through all the cars, that is how quick they're coming across the line.
Mitchell Lucchesi has crossed the line, so has Peter Hubert. They're all coming across the line. Chase Herald, Andrew Thomas, Raymond Duggan comes across the line. So does Herman Lazarus and Lo Wrigley. And only then do we see Johan Fourie finishing in that 14th position.
Nico Kellerman did a pretty decent job there as well. Willem Botha's out of it. Here comes Robbie Teens, the Boltman, the original comeback kid in the 18 car. Yo, that was amazing stuff.
Right, that was the 18 cars across the line. Here comes Sway Schubert. He is the 18th car across the line in the Oreo car. And wow, that is something to observe, this Renault Clio Cup, as he works his way through turn 12, the right-hander, and towards the checkered flag.
In terms of iRacing South Africa, I'm going to say that that was probably one of the best races for 2023. That was something else. That was utterly amazing stuff. Wow. Yo, 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 yo. All right, let's have a look at it. Heat number 1, it was Troy Dolenchik from Umpiswart, Leighton Ferry, Francois Joubert, Byron Mitchell. Memorize that. Let's go and have a look at the feature race. And there you have it. Jason Kutsia was in 10th, started in pole, kept it there. Only Umpiswart that could actually get to him. Leighton Ferry rubbed, knocked, hacked, chopped, you name it. He stayed there in the top 3. From Julian from the RS, Byron Mitchell, even with the off, still in the top 5. Luke Lucchese, even with a major off, still in the top 6. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this Renault Clio Cup is one of the most competitive formula that I have seen on iRacing SA, that's for sure. And a big thanks to Gary of Second Gear Productions for the streaming of this one from Road Atlanta.
So let's just have a look at that. Heat number 1. There you can see that. So the inverse was Jason Kutsia from Johan Ferry, from Luke Lucchese and Julian from the RS. That was the inverted grid for heat number 2. And from there on out, it was Johan Ferry was probably the biggest loser in that whole lot. It doesn't even come up in the top 18 at all.
Oh, Johan finished in 14th position, and he just whacked the wall. I'm not sure what happened to Johan Ferry over there. So that concludes the Renault Clio Cup, and we will see you this coming Wednesday, Gary, I presume, with the new series that's been put together. Hopefully we will see it. That's been put together by Luke Lucchese.
Yeah, nothing's been finalized yet, so probably we'll end up with a fun race on Wednesday. But either way, it was brilliant stuff. Renault Clio Cup round number 4 for 2023 from Road Atlanta, South Africa's best, going one-on-one and bringing us lots of entertainment. From the Second Gear studio, from my side, Gary Fleming, and the voice of West Bromwich Motorsport, Frankie Yunus. Thank you for joining us, and good night to you, one and all.